They're fake. Everything's fake. It's weird. And so it's like, this is the clearest, like, fixed fight you're ever going to see. Look at this. That looks so fake.
What just happened?
He hit him with the left.
I know.
But watch it again. Let's watch
it.
it again. Look at this guy holding his hands up and watch. Watch this. He, like, literally shows him his chin.
And just goes, like,
and he goes down. It's also nuts, right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the two-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
A guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand, and he's a one-punch killer. And you're going to stand in front of that guy, and he avoided shots till the 6th round. He just started getting tired.
Well, when you're on a platform like Netflix that turns one-part episodes into a 6-part series, why would you think that part of their entertainment model is to have a 30-second fight? Why?
Social media is going absolutely wild right now because of what just dropped from the most recent Joe Rogan show, and this involves the Anthony Joshua-Jake Paul situation. Look, if even half of this stuff turns out to be legitimate, it's gonna completely flip our understanding of what actually happened in that ring. So these bombshell statements that are now spreading like wildfire across every platform suggest that Anthony Joshua supposedly dropped some serious information about Jake Paul allegedly attempting to pay him off before their bout, and apparently it involved one specific demand that caught everyone completely off guard. This whole exchange apparently went down away from cameras and microphones, and now fans are seriously questioning whether influencer boxing has any real competitive integrity left. Here we go again with Joshua's statements completely reigniting these persistent rumors that keep surfacing about Jake Paul's most publicized fights potentially being more like elaborate business arrangements than actual athletic competitions. Which brings us to this really awkward reality that the entire fighting community is grappling with right now. Is any of this genuine competition, or are we just watching very expensive theater disguised as professional athletic?
What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are immense, but I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron, is fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw tonight,
Joe Rogan definitely brings that unfiltered energy when he's breaking down what he's witnessing. Rogan was smart enough to avoid making specific allegations that could land him in court, but he definitely didn't hold back when questioning whether this whole thing was legitimate competition. He kept hammering home just how insane the skill difference really is between a former world heavyweight champion who's been fighting elite competition for over a decade and a content creator who picked up boxing gloves a few years ago. Rogan kept suggesting that if Joshua had walked into that fight planning to end things as violently and quickly as his abilities would allow, we probably would have seen it wrapped up in the opening rounds, maybe even faster than that. He also used this as a jumping off point to talk about how modern fighting is getting completely warped by social media money and these streaming deals that are worth more than some countries' GDP, where the pressure to create entertaining content can actually override the instinct to just demolish your opponent. The whole financial ecosystem has fundamentally altered what we're watching, he argued. This ties into a much larger shift happening across all combat sports right now. It's like watching a basketball game where the outcome matters less than the highlights.
And it's the way he did it that I was trying to tell people. I'm like, no, that was skillful. So like there's like boxing matches where you see two guys just slugging it out, one guy lands a punch, and yeah, he landed a good punch. What Jake did is he slid back and landed a punch.
Yeah.
It's like the athleticism along with the intelligence, the technique. I'm like, he's not even doing it that long. And he's also hyper competitive, even though he's wealthy.
Yep.
You know, like you would assume that wealth would take away your drive for
but
competition.
It hasn't, yeah.
He's also nuts, right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the two-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
A guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand, and he's a one-punch killer. And you're going to stand in front of that guy, and he avoided shots till this.
Simon Jordan decided to pour gasoline on this already massive fire by stating something that plenty of people were thinking but nobody wanted to actually say, that Anthony Joshua had the ability to flatline Jake Paul whenever he felt like it throughout that entire fight, but made a conscious decision to hold back. Jordan broke this down in detail, arguing that the fight needed to go multiple rounds to meet Netflix's content requirements and their business model, not because of what boxing tradition or competitive integrity demanded. He pointed out that Joshua's devastating power, his years competing against world-class opposition, and his technical precision were operating on such a different level compared to Paul's current abilities that an immediate finish in round 1 or 2 would have completely destroyed the entertainment product and killed the viewing numbers that Netflix was banking on. Instead, according to Jordan's theory, the fight required extended action, artificial drama, and drawn-out suspense to justify the streaming platform's massive financial investment and the worldwide audience they were targeting. Jordan didn't provide any smoking gun evidence or insider sources to support these claims, but his observations definitely resonated with what a huge portion of the audience was already feeling in their gut, that when major corporations and streaming behemoths like Netflix become direct stakeholders in combat sports, the show business aspects can slowly but surely override genuine athletic competition. This leaves everyone watching afterward wondering whether they just witnessed real sport or carefully choreographed entertainment.
Jake Paul posted on Twitter after the fight, jaw broken, heart and balls intact. That's a good thing. Time to rest, recover, and return to cruiserweight. I mean, he's coming out of it as if, well, yeah, I got battered in the end, but boy.
That's what he will do. I mean, it depends what you think this was. I mean, I never felt it was anything other than entertainment. I'm not surprised that it... I mean, Anthony Joshua could have knocked Jake Paul out anytime he wanted to. He didn't want to.
So why didn't he?
Because, well, when you're on a platform like Netflix that turns one-part episodes into a 6-part series, why would you think that part of their entertainment model is to have a 30-second fight? Why? You watch a Netflix series, you can watch it and you can go, well, I get the gist of it. Why have you got to turn it into 10 episodes? Because I'm dying with boredom after episode.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasized, listen guys, take this as long...
Billy Joe Saunders went straight for the throat with his reaction to this fight, and what he said was absolutely savage. He came out and declared without any hesitation that what happened that night was not boxing. End of discussion. From Saunders' perspective, as someone who's competed at the championship level and understands what real boxing looks like, what the audience saw had every superficial component of authentic professional boxing. The canvas, the equipment, the rounds, the officials, the whole setup looked perfect, but it was completely missing the intensity, the genuine risk, and the ever-present possibility of sudden violence that actually makes boxing what it is as a sport. He made a really compelling argument that legitimate boxing, the championship caliber stuff, is built entirely around real danger, constant pressure, and this underlying knowledge that one mistake or one perfect shot could end everything instantly, and absolutely none of those crucial components existed in what he witnessed. Saunders described how the rhythm felt artificial, how the restraint appeared deliberate, and how the entire atmosphere of the bout reminded him more of a choreographed demonstration or charity showcase than an actual fight between two people genuinely trying to hurt each other. He was careful not to directly accuse anyone of rigging results or pre-planning outcomes, which would cross into serious legal territory, but his point came through loud and clear to everyone listening. When world-class fighters seem perfectly capable of finishing fights instantly but repeatedly choose not to, what you're watching stops being real competition and becomes pure entertainment marketing itself as legitimate sport. His final words really drove the point home. That wasn't a boxing match. It was something completely different wearing boxing's costume.
Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this contest. And then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. He was fighting. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting to double leg positions. Jake was fighting for his survival. You could see that this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through. It was incredible. And any boxer that wants to say, well, that wasn't high level boxing, go ahead. I won't argue with you. But any human that says that wasn't a fight, yeah, it was a fight.
When everything was finally over, Anthony Joshua showed some unexpected honesty and self-awareness about how he actually performed in there, acknowledging that even though he officially got the victory with that 6th round stoppage that everyone witnessed, he genuinely felt like it wasn't close to his best work and that he should have looked much more dominant than he did. Joshua was pretty candid about needing to step up his game because he had real problems early on connecting with clean punches consistently, and he wasn't able to trap Jake Paul and break him down as efficiently as most analysts and fans had predicted he would, especially considering the enormous gap in their experience levels and natural ability. He characterized it as a victory for sure, but definitely not a performance that met his own internal standards, and he stressed that he's got serious work to do if he wants to get back to competing for world titles. It was actually pretty refreshing to hear that kind of honest self-criticism from someone who just knocked out one of the biggest names in combat sports right now.
Yeah. In awe of the fact that you do what you do.
I mean, it's not that hard to get your ass beat. I won 2 rounds and then I got dropped. But it was a great experience. Like, I learned a lot in there. But I had him wobbled at one point.
He hit you in the face, and not only did you not get knocked out, you dropped and said, wow.
Wow, that was nice. I was on the ground. I was like, that was a good shot.
Did he surprise you with his power?
He surprised my jaw. It's literally snapped. It's
What,
like
you-
a baseball in there. But yeah, I mean, I told everyone, though, that I would do better than Francis and that Francis kind of got no chin.
So
Francis Ngannou keeps getting mentioned, and this is where you can really see Jake Paul's promotional brilliance at work. The second his high-profile showdown with Anthony Joshua's finished, Jake Paul immediately shifted all the attention away from taking that loss and straight toward his next potential blockbuster, aggressively targeting former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, who possesses literally some of the most terrifying knockout power in the history of combat sports. During a post-fight media session that he obviously had strategically planned out, Paul made it clear that he's actively seeking out the most dangerous and explosive opponents available in fighting, making a very deliberate pivot from YouTube boxing toward mixed martial arts crossover spectacles, which is currently where the biggest financial opportunities exist. This call out wasn't just random trash talk or wounded pride speaking, it was a calculated business move, using all the massive mainstream buzz from the Joshua fight to establish himself as a credible challenger to one of MMA's most feared knockout artists and to maintain his position in the news cycle. Fight fans across every social platform responded with this fascinating combination of genuine intrigue and serious doubt, wondering whether Paul could possibly survive Ngannou's world-class striking skills and the grappling expertise that he refined during his championship run in the UFC. But looking at this from Paul's business angle, and you really have to respect his understanding of how this industry works, the potential fight represents another perfect opportunity to control the conversation for months, generate enormous pay-per-view revenue, and expand his brand even deeper into mainstream combat sports culture, maintaining his established pattern of high-stakes, high-reward bookings that intentionally mix spectacle with sport in ways that keep people engaged and spending money.
You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference, and, you know, Joshua is a former, you know, champion. And also, you know, he's current, he's active, you know, and this is going to be the first time that we see Paul, you know, fighting an active fighter. You know what I mean? We seen the Mike Tyson, that was all fun, that was cute, you know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff, but now you're dealing with a real professional, you know, and so we'll see how it ends up you know, like I said, I think it's scripted, but, you know, we're going to see. At the end of the day, I just want everybody to have fun. I want them to enjoy themselves because we risk our lives for others' entertainment, and just go home safely to be able to have memories and say we did a great job.
Deontay Wilder definitely came with that unfiltered energy when he shared his thoughts on the Anthony Joshua-Jake Paul situation, describing it as one of the strangest and most puzzling events in recent boxing memory. And when someone with Wilder's credentials says that, people pay attention. Wilder couldn't hide his amazement that a former world heavyweight champion like Joshua, someone who shared rings with the absolute best fighters on the planet, would actually agree to face off against a social media personality, raising serious questions questions about both the sporting legitimacy of the pairing and what really motivated Joshua to accept the fight. He admitted that sure, there's obvious entertainment appeal in these financial numbers that are impossible to ignore, but Wilder was crystal clear that from a pure boxing perspective, from someone who's held championship belts and faced killers throughout his entire professional career, the whole thing felt fundamentally wrong and artificial. He emphasized the absolutely massive difference in skill level, professional experience, and natural punching power between these two competitors, and that gap represents something you simply cannot overlook when you truly understand what elite boxing requires. He also suggested, and this part really grabbed everyone's attention, that Joshua's overall game plan and fighting approach might have been shaped by considerations that extend far beyond pure athletic competition. Things like television requirements, streaming platform demand, and business objectives rather than the simple goal of proving who's the superior fighter. That's a pretty harsh judgment coming from someone who knows exactly what authentic championship level boxing is supposed to feel like.